Well, you're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, playing in the snow, it's fun, but you've got to be sure that you are safe while you're outside. We'll have a few safety tips to keep in mind for your next winter adventure.
Also, a local plumber shows us how to keep your pipes safe during the cold months.
And we have our alert day today with the dangerously cold temperatures continuing. I'll have a look at that forecast and some road conditions for you coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Elise Snowy.
I'm Chris Warner. It is just after 7 o'clock now on this Thursday, February the 20th, and it is very cold outside. And that's we talked about this the last time, not the last time it snowed. When we got some snow, I remember when I was a kid, it'd still be in the 20s and 30s, or maybe it was in my head. Maybe it really wasn't, and it just felt like it. But you could go out and play in this snow, but it's a little more difficult to do that now.
It's really cold. Well, most of us, as Chris mentioned, love to be sledding and building snowmen when snow is on the ground, but there are precautions that we need to take.
Adam Woodbury has more about staying warm while braving the elements to have some fun.
We've been out here now for almost an hour. This is the first year we actually came out here to this hill. We've always heard about it and had to go check it out, and it's been a blast so far.
This is awesome! The frigid winter temperatures may be hitting the Ozarks, but these sledders weren't about to let a good snowy hill go to waste.
It's like super really fun and kind of terrifying when you flip.
It's really fun. I love it. I love sledding.
And they all agree it's cold out, but they came prepared.
Well, it's a little cold, but you just have to put on a bunch of layers. But yeah, it's pretty cold.
I'm pretty layered up. The hands get a little cold sometimes. That's why I brought the gloves too, but he's the one that's having fun, and that's all that matters.
In this bitter cold, and with even cooler days in the forecast, having those warm layers are even more important. When the temperature falls below 31 degrees, the American Red Cross says to limit your time outside. Take a break and go inside every 20 to 30 minutes. But when it drops below 13 degrees, it's best to stay inside if you can, as frostbite can quickly set in. And if you do go out, remember to wear those warm, extra layers.
Well, and if you kids weren't out here sledding today, what would you be doing instead?
Playing outside.
Still playing outside, okay.
Yeah.
But these families all say they were dressed warmly so they could all enjoy the snow while it lasts.
Welcome to Missouri, because next week is going to be 60s and above.
And something else to keep in mind for today, the wind chills could be getting as low as -20. Now that's enough for frostbite or hypothermia to develop in as little as 30 minutes.
And actually, that's what we're seeing now and what we've been seeing. In fact, some wind chills out there right now down to about 30 below zero. Oh. That's why we have those cold weather alerts. That's why we have the alert day. But I do have some good news. It's going to start to end. It's going to progressively start to get better. I know, me either. I am so over this. So over this. I'm sure road crews are as well. I'm sure some parents are. I mentioned this earlier this morning on KOAM. I unfortunately do believe there's a pretty good chance that a lot of schools aren't going to have class again tomorrow. And that's simply because the side roads and things are still very covered, very packed, and even the main roads aren't 100% right now. So
safety first.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at those main roads, starting downtown Pittsburgh with our camera there at 4th and Broadway. And again, you can see some of the road, and then you can also tell that some of the road is not there. Road crews are doing the best they can, but this stuff is really packed. It's really frozen out there. Obviously, it's very cold. Making it almost impossible to scrape it. The problem is you try and treat it, when it's right now, when it's 5-6 degrees below zero, just as the air temperature, I don't know many things that melt at that temperature. Now, granted, I'm sure we could talk to a physics professor and maybe there is something that'll melt at that temperature, but this stuff sure is not going to do it. So you've got to be careful out there still. That's why so many things are still closed today. We've got some partially covered roadways, and that's the other part of partially covered is you may run into a nice clear spot, and let's say you're turning left. Well, all of a sudden, your left turn lane, if you are coming in at full speed, you are not stopping before you get to that intersection on a sheet of snow and ice like that. So that's why you got to be careful. Road conditions across our region in the southeast Kansas, still some partially covered roadways in that light blue color, and then the green is wet pavement or seasonal conditions, meaning there's still some slick spots, but not that bad. But the partially covered roadways, those are the ones you've got to watch out for, because those are the ones that are going to kind of, in a way, lie to you, where, again, you run into that clear spot, and then the next thing you know, there's suddenly a sheet of snow or ice on the road. So you got to be cautious. MoDOT reporting I-49 and I-44 both as clear, but still some slick spots possible, but a number of other highways, back roads, and everything else in between still covered. This is why I was talking about our extreme cold warnings, still some cold weather advisories, but most of us now, extreme cold warnings. Those will go through noon today, and they'll expire because what's happening is this is because of the wind. It's been so breezy. The winds will ease up as we head into the afternoon. So yeah, it's still very, very, very cold today, but once the winds ease up, when it's 14, it's going to feel like it's 12. It won't feel like it's 30 below zero like it is right now. Temperatures out there, all of us below zero at this point. The coldest is Iola at 12 below zero, along with Neodesha and Parsons. And then with those wind chills, it is upwards of almost 30 degrees below zero is what it feels like. So dangerous conditions out there. Another reason to not be outside. Partly cloudy skies, highs today, low to mid-teens. Initially, again, those wind chills dangerously cold, and then we'll start to see some improvements. We've got big improvements on the way as we head through the weekend and next week. Details on that and another look at road conditions here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. And you can get the latest road conditions and power outages across the area anytime through this QR code. It'll direct you to links on our website. Of course, that's KOAMnewsnow.com for information for each of the 4 states in our viewing area. Well, area plumbers say although they aren't getting a lot of busted pipes in the area, they are getting calls for frozen ones. They say pipes like these will leave you without water and strain your pocketbook. KOAM's Lonnie Walton has the story.
Right now we're seeing frozen pipes.
Nathan Terry is the owner of Spring River Drain and Sewer in Carthage. He says although he hasn't seen any busted pipes for now, the frozen ones aren't any better.
My guys are in fact out on frozen pipe calls today that are just that people don't have water.
Barrett Scatterly, Chief Linguistic Coordinator at Scatterly Plumbing, says you can have a broken pipe and not even know it.
When it thaws, like next week when it's in the 60s, it's usually manifested by it raining in your house. So you want to try to be aware of any problems you have before that happens, because that's when the real damage occurs.
What our experts are saying, one of the easier things to do at home is to keep that water trickling.
Water that is moving through the pipe does not freeze as quickly as water that's just sitting there.
And
know where your whole house water shutoff is in case you have a problem. Make sure that all your hoses are disconnected from the hydrants on the outside. Close up all the holes in your crawl space.
And for Terry, you only need 2 ingredients to solve this frozen pipe issue.
Heat and insulation are the 2 best things to consider when you're trying to avoid frozen pipes.
And Terry cautions that you need to follow these measures because if you don't,
or we'll be right back out at your house next year.
Reporting in Carthage, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
Terry goes on to say spots that were frozen in your house in the past are at high risk of freezing again. And those are our top news stories this half hour. Coming up next, tensions rise between the United States and Ukraine as talks of peace move forward. And later, an Oklahoma organization works to provide resources to the homeless during cold weather. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Topping Nation Watch this morning, a wave of layoffs could be coming to the IRS. An Associated Press report says the country's tax agency plans to lay off about 7,000 workers beginning today. The report says the layoffs targeted probationary workers with up to 1 year of experience at the agency. The move comes as President Donald Trump's DOGE aims to shrink the federal workforce to drastically cut government spending. Now it remains unclear how the layoffs will impact the current tax season. And travelers with a criminal history expecting to visit the United Kingdom may face some challenges. The Electronic Travel Authorization, or ETA permit, went into effect in January. The UK government says travelers may be denied authorization if they were convicted of a crime in the UK or another country and were sentenced to at least 1 year. Now, those denied can't appeal the decision but can apply for a visitor visa, which can take months to process and is not guaranteed. Well, President Trump addressed an investment conference in Miami. It comes on a day of tense back and forth between Mr. Trump and Ukraine's president. Fox News correspondent Connor Hansen has more from New York.
A dictator without elections. Zelensky better move fast or he's not going to have a country left.
In front of a Saudi Arabia-backed investment conference in Miami, President Trump doubled down on his criticism of Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky.
A modestly successful comedian, President Zelensky talked the United States of America into spending $350 billion to go into a war that basically couldn't be won.
There are ongoing peace talks between the U.S. and Russia, hosted by Saudi Arabia. Trump said Zelensky could attend if he wanted to.
It's my hope that my greatest legacy will be as a peacemaker and a unifier.
Throughout the day, other administration officials tried to explain the current relationship the White House has with Ukraine.
It's one that's frustrated right now and clearly is going in the wrong direction. But what President Trump is focused on is ending the fighting, going to a ceasefire.
President Trump's special envoy Keith Kellogg is in Ukraine meeting with its leaders.
It is crucial for us that the meeting and our overall cooperation with America be constructive.
President Trump's comments were met with some harsh criticism.
It's shameful to hear the president repeat Putin's propaganda.
Their fight is our fight, and the president's surrender is pathetic and weak.
In his speech, President Trump also stressed the need to end the war in the Middle East. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
And those are our top national stories. Let's head on over to Chris for a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, we are continuing to deal with the dangerous cold across the area. We have those cold weather alerts through noon. We'll have another look at your forecast when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 7:16 on this Thursday morning. We're going to take a look at road conditions real quick. Starting in downtown Pittsburgh on Broadway. Again, roads are improving, but you've got to still be careful because partially covered, this is the best example of that, where you get these clear spots and you get some spots that are not so clear yet. Road crews out there doing their best, but this stuff is really packed, really frozen. It's difficult to scrape off, and it's difficult to try and treat it and melt it because, well, it's so cold out there. It's not really going to do much melting. KDOT camera at Kansas Crossing, looking back to the south. You got to watch out for things like that too, where snow's maybe blown off into the roadway or a plow may have knocked a little of it over. You got to watch out for those slick spots out there. But otherwise, major improvements here, looking much better. Same on 69, just north of that at East 520th Avenue. Major improvements, but you still need to watch out for those slick spots. On to the Missouri side we go. MoDOT cameras along I-44 in the metro area. I-44 itself is listed as clear, and you can see that that's pretty well the case. You could still run into a slick spot or two, but for the most part, it's doing a lot better. Then you get like Main Street here. Not so clear necessarily. Same with Coyote here over I-44 if you're heading back north from exit 4. So you exit to take 43 south to Seneca. Bridge, still some snowpack out there, still some work to be done. That's why so many things are canceled again today and closed today. And as I mentioned at the start of the show, and I know you don't want to hear it, I get it. I'm a parent too. But I'm going to be 100% honest. I think there's a fairly good chance that most schools will not be in session again tomorrow, just because the back roads, side roads, and things like that, and streets, the neighborhood streets are still so slick and so packed with snow because we have not been able to get any melting done. 20th and Range Line, looking east from that MoDOT camera. Again, you can see here and there still slick spots out there, so you've got to still be cautious as you're driving. 32nd and Range Line, MoDOT camera there. Now see, this fella's doing it just right. You see this? You have a clear spot along Range Line, but the left turn lanes, neither of them are clear. And if you come into these left turn lanes at full speed, you will not be able to stop in time before you either get to the intersection or, worse, get to the back of the car ahead of you. So that's why you've got to watch out. The road conditions changing quickly. On the maps, Still, not much change here, but we'll start to see some improvement as we go through the day. But still some partially covered in the light blue, and then some slick spots still possible in the green color here from KDOT. We'll head over to the Missouri side. Now, on the Missouri side, just the way their color table works, the green is actually clear. So I-49 and I-44 listed as clear, but that light blue, still partly covered roadways out there that you've got to watch out for, and watch out for those slick spots this morning. Now, we have the extreme cold warnings for the bulk of the area, still through noon today, because after we get into the afternoon, the winds are going to ease up. So is it still going to be cold today? Absolutely. Don't let that extreme cold warning ending make you think all of a sudden it's going to be warm. It's not. What the extreme cold warning is for the wind chills. Like right now, they're almost 30 below zero. We'll take another look at them in a moment. Once it ends, it's because the winds will be easing up this afternoon. So yeah, it's still 14, but with the winds easing up, when it's 14, it's only going to feel like it's maybe 12. It's not going to feel like 30 below, making it even more dangerous to be outside. Well, partly cloudy skies to mostly clear skies today. Partly cloudy overnight. Clouds increase a bit tomorrow. We're looking at partly to mostly cloudy skies on our Friday. Temperatures a little warmer. Get a light breeze out in the morning out of the south, and those winds will become calm once again for us. Here's a look at those temperatures. Take a look. They are unpleasant. 12 below zero. Iola, Parsons, and Neodesha. These are the temperatures, not the wind chills. These are the temperatures. You factor in the wind, that's where it gets dangerous. 27 below zero is what it feels like in Yates Center. 26 below zero in Iola. So you get the idea. That's why those alerts are in place, is this, not the air temperature, but these wind chills that are so far below zero. We're going to be starting, of course, where we are below zero. Just about all of us below zero right now this morning, even not taking into account the wind chills. Partly cloudy skies, about 7-ish by 11 o'clock this morning. Our highs today, mid-teens, low to mid-teens out there. Single digits tonight, still bitterly cold. Upper 20s tomorrow, upper 30s Saturday, upper 40s Sunday. And then it gets a lot better. So we have this nice warming trend. So through the weekend, we're going to get some melting down. I think we're going to be going back to school, back to normal next week. But take a look at those temperatures next week. My goodness, I cannot wait for Monday. And how many people will be able to say that? But I'm telling you right now, we're all going to be just counting down until Monday. Upper 50s, low 60s, and maybe some rain showers next week could help clean off the roads and clean off your car. Let's check your forecast. We're back with more after this. Well, their passion for the homeless is exemplified throughout the year, but when temperatures get as cold as they are now, they kick things into another gear.
Micah Glover spent the day with the Arctic Angels.
You said you had 3 of those rooms available.
They call themselves the Arctic Angels, and this is the weather that puts them into action.
I didn't know what today was going to bring. I didn't know if I was going to be able to get out of my driveway, and I couldn't go home, lay in bed and think, who did I miss?
For 5 years, the ladies have been providing hotel rooms and meals for the homeless in a way that restores their dignity.
What's your name? You don't have to get up for me. Let me come to you. So we're getting people that have tried to go to shelters.
When the ladies aren't booking hotel rooms and providing food, they're out here at the homeless camps, providing propane and tents and whatever their homeless friends need.
This is his home. This is where he lives, and this is where he's lived for the past 18 months.
But a passion this strong comes at a price.
We had a man that died in a wheelchair.
Our
3
friend.
weeks ago. Yes, and listen, that was hard.
Yeah.
That broke our hearts.
That broke us.
They currently have over 80 hotel rooms filled in 4 different hotels. We'll have their contact information with this story on our website if you would like to support their efforts. A passion to help the homeless.
There's a lady in a tent that needs help.
That is something good.
Certainly very helpful of them to go out there and try and help those
Absolutely.
in need, because they're trying to get by, and these cold temperatures, man,
They're brutal.
Tough. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, coming up, we'll have a few tips to keep in mind to help keep your pets safe during the extreme cold.
And speaking of the extreme cold, we have the extreme cold warnings for most of us through noon, and then it will eventually warm up. We'll have a look at your forecast when we come back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:28. I'm Elise Snowy. A man is now behind bars accused of attempting to kidnap a newborn baby in Parsons, Kansas. According to Parsons police, Labette Health surveillance video showed Eric Matthews trying to take the baby Tuesday. Police say a family member of the infant stopped Matthews from exiting the ward with the child. Then hospital security prevented him from leaving. Investigators learned Matthews was known to the family. Official charges of kidnapping and child endangerment have been submitted to the Labette County Attorney's Office for prosecution. And the hazardous road conditions combined with the extreme cold can take a toll on first responders. Take a look at this house fire from just outside Carthage yesterday. Carthage Fire Chief Jason Martin tells us crews immediately ran into issues getting to the home with treacherous road conditions. Now, once they arrived, firefighters struggled with frozen equipment, making it difficult to fully operate. There are also no fire hydrants in that area, and crews had to rely on a tanker shuttle to battle the blaze. Everyone inside got out safely and no firefighters were injured. The home is a total loss and the cause of the fire is under investigation. Let's head over to Chris for a quick air forecast.
Yeah, we've got the bitterly cold, just the dangerously cold temperatures continuing, and wind chills mainly the issue here. We are seeing some improvements, but still slick spots in a number of the areas. And of course, back roads, side streets, neighborhood streets, they're not clear at all. Hence why a number of folks are not going to school. Well, it looks like the MoDOT camera 32nd in range line vanished on me, but that's okay. We have these maps that will help us out as well. In Kansas, the light blue here, partially covered roadways, which we've got to watch out for those slick spots. And even in the green, that's still wet pavement or seasonal conditions, meaning they're a bit slick. They're not as slick. There's not as much coverage on them as the partly covered, but still, you want to be careful out there. The Missouri side, the light green actually is an indication of clear, and when you have clear is what MoDOT's reporting for I-49 and I-44 in our area, but a number of other highways, back roads, and everything else still partly covered out there. Here's the cold. This is why our alert day continues today. Extreme cold warning for almost all of us. 3 counties not included. They're in cold weather advisories. This runs through noon today. And the reason it expires at noon is it doesn't mean that all of a sudden at noon it's going to be 40 degrees, although that would be nice. By noon, temperatures are going to ease up. Well, it's still the same thing. Winds are going to ease up. And that will allow us if it's 14, it's only going to feel like it's maybe 12. Whereas right now, it's considerably worse than that. Our temperatures, all of us below zero this morning as we start the day. Look at Neota shade now, the cold spot at 13 below zero. And then you put in those wind chills. This is where those warnings and advisories come from. We are sitting, many of us, where it feels like it is almost 30 degrees below zero. So that's why I'm saying the wind chills won't be as intense as we head into the afternoon and the winds ease up for us. But ahead of that, though, still dangerously cold. Highs today, low to mid-teens, partly cloudy to mostly clear skies. Now, we are going to start to warm up. Not today, not tonight, a little bit tomorrow, and even more so next week. Details on that and another look at road conditions here in just a few more minutes. Lisa?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, the freezing temperatures can pose a risk for humans, but they can also be dangerous for our furry friends. KOAM's Melissa Alexis spoke to a local sheriff about how to prevent winter weather-related medical emergencies for our pets.
Cold weather, especially when you have pets outside.
As we bundle up to brave the low temperatures lately, it's important to remember our four-legged friends.
To get them out of the wind, out of the cold, provide plenty of bedding for them to keep warm.
In the midst of the freezing temperatures, the Joplin Humane Society made a post alerting people that when the temperature drops below freezing, pets should only be exposed to these temperatures for 15 to 30 minutes at a time. Also, the Labette County Sheriff says keeping them inside can keep them safe.
This is don't keep them outside if they don't have to be. Take them inside because, with these temperatures, they will get cold a lot quicker, and there's always a chance that, they could freeze.
The Joplin Humane Society also points out that pets that are either very old, very young, or have short fur are even more susceptible to the dangers of the cold weather, like hypothermia. The sheriff also says dogs that aren't used to the freezing temps are better off staying inside where it's warm.
Double coat dogs that are used to cold weather, that's much different than one that's been in the house and you leave it outside. Or where we live, I would say they need to bring them in because they're not exposed to cold weather temperatures year-round like they are up in the northern Arctic part.
And he wants to remind people that dehydration isn't only a risk to pets in the summer. It can be a big risk during the winter weather, so it's best to make sure your pet's water bowl hasn't frozen over.
Get dehydrated. You need to make sure that they have fresh water, that there's no ice on it, and make sure they have plenty of food. They need the food to keep the energy up, to burn calories, to keep them warm.
And he says heated water bowls can help ice from building up in the water bowls. I'm Melissa Alexis reporting.
The Joplin Humane Society says some signs of hypothermia in pets include lethargy, difficulty walking, and low heart rate. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Shoppers are finding new alternatives to battle the rising cost of eggs. In Consumer Watch this morning, Delta Airlines, is paying passengers on a flight that crash landed and flipped in Toronto. The company says it will offer $30,000 to all 76 passengers and 4 crew members on board with, quote, no strings attached. The airline says the offer will also not affect the passengers' rights. The Delta Connection Flight 4819 crashed and flipped upside down at Toronto Pearson Airport on Monday, injuring at least 17 people. Investigations are ongoing into the cause of the crash. Well, Google announces its latest experiment aimed at helping users explore more career possibilities. The tech giant shared that its newest feature, called Career Dreamer, utilizes AI to help users find career opportunities. The AI drafts a career identity statement based on your previous experience, skills, and interests. Users will have the option to add their statement to their resumes. Now, as of now, Career Dreamer is only available as an experiment in the U.S. And a new poll says shoppers are avoiding certain brands because of politics. Fox Business correspondent Madison Allworth has who's more likely to stop shopping at companies with different political views.
A new form of political resistance. Both sides of the aisle are holding onto their dollars to send a message. 45% of Democrats say they would stop, drop, and not shop at a brand that they disagreed with politically, according to the Harris poll findings. 34% of Republicans say they would do the same. Get this, 4 out of 10 Americans have changed their spending habits in recent months because of politics. And while it's more Democrats doing this, Republicans have wielded a lot of power with their purse. Never forget Anheuser-Busch tanking after Republicans boycotted Bud Light. And now we have seen even more companies learning from those lessons and backing away from DEI policies. Target, Amazon, Disney, and Google have all rolled back DEI programs. This is in part because of shareholder pressure and also because of the Supreme Court affirmative action decision that was made in 2023. Target announced back in January that it would end its 3-year DEI goals. And now, Black faith leaders are calling for a Target boycott, saying if corporate America can't stand with us, we are not going to stand with corporate America. Meanwhile, companies like Apple, Costco, Microsoft, and Johnson & Johnson say they're sticking to their DEI efforts. In New York, I'm Madison Allworth, Fox Business.
And those are our top consumer stories. Let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. 7:42 now on this Thursday morning, starting with a live look downtown Pittsburgh. Again, we're going to have more sunshine today, which you can see already, which will help a little, but still temperatures dangerously cold, bitterly cold across the area. So like these folks are doing, you got to go slow, you got to take it easy. Road crews are working as hard as they can, but a lot of this snow that's out there now, what they're getting down to is what's been packed down and then frozen very well, which is very difficult to scrape off, and it's hard to treat because not many things melt at 10 below zero outside. So we've got to be cautious. You got to watch out for this. This is what partly covered is too, and this is a great example of it because see here it's clear, and then all of a sudden it's not. So you got to be careful out there. KDOT camera 69 at Kansas Crossing, taking a look. Again, some snow's going to be out here, there, wherever plows may have accidentally bumped it to or people passing through. But so far, looking much better on 69. We head a little further north of that, same situation, but take a look here. You can see the white line for the shoulder, and if you follow it, this snow here is kind of out a little bit onto the roadway, so you got to watch out for that stuff too, where you could still encounter some of that snow. On the Missouri side, now this is the bridge over I-44 exit 4, so if you were taking this exit, you got off, Loves is over here, you turn left, you're going to Seneca, you turn right, you're heading back north toward Joplin. You can see the bridge itself still got some frozen spots out there. I-44, though, is looking considerably better as well, but there will still be slick spots that you got to watch out for, but not nearly as many as this, for example, East 20th Street. And the thing we're seeing a lot of is these left turn lanes still are fairly well covered. And if you come into it too fast, see how slow that person was easing into this? If you come into these left turn lanes too fast right now, you're not going to be able to stop before you either end up in the middle of the intersection or worse, you end up in the back of the car ahead of you. That's what we're looking at here too at 32nd and Range Line. See, it even is clear back this way. For the northbound side here on Range Line approaching 32nd. The two straight lanes are not bad. This one's got some stuff in it. This one's not too bad. But if you are in the clear zone and you come up here in this left turn lane at full speed, not paying attention, you're going to slide around. You could hit the median. You could hit a car in this lane, or you could run into somebody. So you still need to be careful. On to the maps we go. Still looking at some partially covered roadways in the light blue colors out here. The blue is clear, so that's some good news as well. And this light green is seasonal or wet pavement. I mean, it's still some slick spots, but not as slick as what we're seeing with partly covered. On to the Missouri side, a quick reminder on the color coding. The light green on the Missouri map, I don't control it. That's how it comes to us. The light green in Missouri means the road is clear. So Missouri is reporting, MoDOT reporting, I-49, I-44 as clear. But you see still a number of partly covered roadways out there as well. On top of that, extreme cold warnings for just about all of us. We still have some cold weather advisories up there, but majority of us now extreme cold warnings. These will run through noon today, which is why our alert day is still in place. And here's the deal. Just because they expire at noon, like I said, we're not going to suddenly see a 30 or 40 degree jump in temperatures. While that would be nice, it's not going to happen. Instead, what's going to happen is as we head into the afternoon and evening, the winds today are going to ease up. And as they do, when we're at 14, it may only feel like it's 12. That's still very cold. I'm not crazy. I know that's very cold. But right now, we are feeling like it is nearly 30 below zero. So that's why we have the extreme cold warnings in place. Well, partly cloudy to mostly clear skies today, partly cloudy overnight tonight, and then partly to mostly cloudy as we head into the day on Friday. We have a light south breeze in the first half of the day. Winds calm down once again, but we will start to see temperatures a little warmer for us on our Friday. It'll be a lot better than where we are now. Every single one of us below zero at this point. The coldest locations on this map still Neodesha and Parsons now, both at 12 below zero. These are the temperatures, not the wind chills. You don't want to see the wind chills, but we're going to show them to you. Look at that. Iola Yates Center feels like it is 27 below zero. That's why we have the extreme cold warnings in place. And that's why they expire at noon, because these wind chills will improve significantly. All right, here we go. Starting below zero today, about 7 by 11 o'clock this morning with those partly cloudy skies. Our highs today, low to mid-teens. Not very warm. Single digits tonight. Then we have these 10 degree or roughly 10 degree incremental warm-ups. Upper 20s tomorrow, upper 30s Saturday, upper 40s Sunday, upper 50s, low 60s Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Very nice weather. March 1st, of course, is on Saturday, so leading into the month of spring, not the season, but the month that we think of spring, it's certainly going to feel a lot better. And even some rain chances out there, maybe wash off the roads, wash off your car a little bit as well. Let's check your forecast. We're back with more right after this.
Well, egg prices have been sky high for so long, people are going to great lengths to avoid shelling out almost $5 a dozen and sometimes more than that. Thanks to an outbreak of the avian flu wiping out millions of chickens, egg prices are forecast to go up another 20% this year.
Now some folks are skipping the grocery store entirely and renting their own hens instead. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively reports from just outside Washington, D.C.
If you want to do something adorable, get your baby a chicken.
Hello, ladies.
Wait. If you want to do something practical, get yourself a chicken for the eggs. That's what Elizabeth Sayre did.
With egg prices being as high as they are, I mean, it's a nice savings to have, and chickens are not that expensive.
She got 2 birds in a coop from Glenda at rentthechicken.com. Business is booming in the chicken rental biz thanks to soaring egg prices.
Is it a big commitment?
It really isn't.
The national average for a dozen eggs is now $4.95. Just 2 miles down the road from Glenda's, it's almost twice that. A dozen grade A extra large grocery eggs will cost you $9.29.
And we do buy eggs, but just that price is it's crazy, right?
Too high, going out of sight.
Do you buy eggs now?
No, don't buy eggs because they're too expensive.
Elizabeth's pair of rented birds laid about a dozen eggs a week in the spring and summer.
So we were able to feed the family completely, and we had extras to give to neighbors and bus stop people.
But if you're ready to run out and get a chicken right now,
you might want to hold off till spring because the shorter days and the bad weather of winter can really slow down egg production.
Our 2 chickens were being wintered, is what it was called, with Glenda. So they were spending the winter at the farm.
The chickens will be back in the spring, bringing plenty of fresh eggs and a few challenges.
Wait, what are you doing, Emmy? That's not your water!
Challenging, Elizabeth says, but totally worth it. In Olney, Maryland, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Is she drinking the chicken water? Forget the rest of the renting chicken. Now we're demonstrating the hazards of renting chickens.
Yes, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Just pay the $5.
I know.
Don't drink the chicken water.
And here's the deal. How does that work too with like certain city codes and ordinances? Like there's some locations you can't keep farm animals in the city, and you don't want them in your house. Like I get the concept, but man, I'm telling you, we have a lot of producers here locally. I drive by, I don't know how many like homes that it's like we sell eggs for really cheap a dozen. Just go there, all right?
Yeah,
you don't have to rent a chicken.
Don't rent a chicken. Don't drink the chicken water.
No, don't do that.
Don't do anything.
Either. None of those things are a fantastic idea. But that's all right because it is quite cold out there. Let's take one more look at the road conditions. Go back. There we go. There we are into Kansas. We have the partially covered roadways in the light blue. We also have wet pavement or seasonal conditions in the light green. So still some slick spots to contend with. Thankfully nothing too bad, but you still got to watch out, especially on the ones still marked as partially covered. And onto the Missouri side, again, color coding. I don't control it, they do. The green is clear, so I-49 and I-44 are clear, but a number of other highways, back roads, and everything else still listed as partially covered. And a reminder, extreme cold warnings for most of the region now until noon today. We'll have another look at your forecast and the news you need to know right after this.
Well, here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Eric Matthews is now behind bars after attempting to kidnap a newborn baby in Parsons, Kansas on Tuesday. Police say a family member of the infant stopped Matthews from exiting the ward with the child, then hospital security prevented him from leaving. Official charges of kidnapping and child endangerment have been submitted to the Labette County Attorney's Office for prosecution. And the hazardous road conditions combined with the extreme cold can take a toll on first responders. Carthage firefighters struggled with hazardous roads and frozen equipment at a house fire yesterday. Everyone inside got out safely and no firefighters were injured. The home is a total loss and the cause of the fire is under investigation. And you can get the latest road conditions and power outages across the area anytime through this QR code. It'll direct you to links on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com, for information for each of the 4 states in our viewing area.
And we've got ourselves another cold day out there. Highs today eventually right around the mid-teens. North winds 5 to 10 by this afternoon. That's why those cold weather alerts continue through noon. And then our wind chills will be slightly better, maybe only a couple of degrees off instead of about 30 to 40 degrees off. As we're seeing right now, we're almost 30 below zero with our wind chills this morning. Single digits tonight, but calm winds, partly cloudy skies. Will be a little warmer tomorrow, upper 20s, upper 30s Saturday, upper 40s Sunday, and then next week, boy, you know, Monday can't get here fast enough, and that's a weird weird thing to say, but seriously, it can't get here fast enough because we got some very nice temperatures as we head into next week, and even some rain chances to help clear off all the salt and stuff on the roads.
Oh, that'll be great. Well, recent winter weather didn't stop a few people from having fun. Despite the extremely cold temps, sledding enthusiasts took to the snow-packed hills across the 4 states yesterday.
Our Skyview drone captured some of them sledding in Webb City at King Jack Park. If you do decide to venture out into the dangerous cold, though, you got to be cautious. Like I said, this morning wind chills upwards of 30 below zero. Eventually, like I said, later today, it'll be 14, but it'll only feel like it's 12. And I know it's not a big difference, but I mean, it beats 30 below zero.
It's something for sure.
It certainly does. Well, thank you so much for letting us put the good into your morning as best as we could. We will be back with more news and weather today at noon.
Have a great rest of your morning.